Hey guys, ET Insider from Sunbros, and today I am really excited to be bringing you guys another hero quick look video, and today we're going to be covering the brand new assassin warrior, Zuka. Zuka is a class warrior assassin. His role is mobility. As you guys can see in the bottom left, he has very low constitution, mid-range ability damage, and almost maxed out attack damage and difficulty. Zuka's passive is the chi. Every 20 seconds, dealing damage to the enemy hero triggers Zuka's chi, increasing his attack damage based on level for the next 8 seconds. Zuka's first ability is Pain on Stick. Zuka raises his staff and charges forward, dealing damage to nearby enemies. The ability can be used again within 5 seconds after the first use, and each use enhances Zuka's next normal attack, increasing its range and dealing additional damage. Zuka's second ability is Panda Chariot. Zuka rolls forward, dealing damage to enemies in his path. On a successful hit, Zuka gains a shield that absorbs damage for 2.5 seconds and enhances his next normal attack to deal additional damage and knocks enemies into the air for a brief period. Zuka's final ability and ultimate is Skyfall. Zuka leaps up and crashes his enemies from above, dealing a bunch of physical damage to enemies in the targeted area and stunning them. His next normal attack deals additional damage to all nearby enemies. Alright, next we're going to be moving on to Zuka's pros and cons, starting with his pros, which are his strengths, things you're going to want to focus on if you're playing as him, and things you're going to want to avoid if you're playing against him. Zuka's first pro is that he has really good mobility. All three of Zuka's abilities do allow him to move from his original location to another, like a dash or a roll, or his first ability, which he jumps up in the air and then jumps down at a pretty good distance away. So his mobility isn't just good to get into fights and to get out of fights, it's also good to move around the jungle and helps him get from one side of the map to the other in order to gank lane successfully. Zuka's second pro is that he has really great crowd control. He can actually do a small knockup with his second ability, Panda Chariot, as well as a 1-second stun to all enemies in the targeted area when he's using his ultimate, Skyfall. That's a total of 1.5 seconds of hard crowd control, which may not seem a lot for maybe a tank or a mage or something of that nature, but for an assassin, it's a pretty good amount. Now, when you combine his ability to be extremely mobile, along with his ability to have really great crowd control, Zuka's well known for being a hero who's capable of going in, causing some crowd control, going back out, and then coming right back in again. And the last pro on Zuka's list is that he has extra damage from his passive. And it's actually a pretty significant amount if you look at it closely. Zuka's passive, the chi, gives him extra damage every 20 seconds. So when you deal damage to an enemy hero, it triggers, and you gain, at level 13, you'll get 20% extra damage. 20% extra damage is actually a very, very solid amount. The idea of raising your damage by 20% may not seem like a lot, but 20% is a pretty good amount. When we're talking about hitting for 1,000, you're talking about 200 extra damage, or 2,000, you're talking about 400 extra damage. It's a pretty good amount. It's not a small amount of damage, and it should be noted that he'll be extremely powerful while his passive is going off. Next, we're going to be moving on to Zuka's cons. These are his weaknesses, things you're going to want to avoid if you're playing as him, and things you're going to want to take advantage of and exploit if you're playing against him. Zuka's first con is that he's got a pretty high skill cap, because Zuka's game is not just going in and doing damage or beating people down. It's actually kind of a mixture of a bunch of different things, including knowing when to go in, knowing when to go out, knowing when to crowd control, knowing when to create separation, knowing when to close the gap, knowing when to do the abilities, not to mention the fact that you have to find a really solid balance and rhythm of using an ability followed up by an auto attack, because all the abilities enhance the following auto attack. You can't just spam abilities. You got to hit an ability, auto attack, hit an ability, auto attack. It's a really nice little rhythm that he's got going on, and it takes time to really get it down pat. Zuka's second con is that he's very susceptible to crowd control. Zuka doesn't have a single ability that actually removes crowd control effects. The best that he can do is to either dodge the skill shot crowd control abilities, or to be able to try to get out of danger after he gets crowd controlled. So if he does get stun locked or crowd control locked with knockups and freezes and stuns and whatnot, Zuka can be bursting down and killed. Zuka's third and final con is that he has an odd combination of low burst with low tankiness. What I mean by that is that he doesn't have the burst of a real hardcore assassin, for example, Wukong. He also doesn't have the tankiness of a more tanky, powerful assassin, for example, Zephys. So he actually sits somewhere right in the middle between those two kinds of heroes, where he has great mobility, he has some decent burst damage, but not Wukong level elite, and he has a little bit more tankiness than Wukong, but obviously nowhere near the levels of somebody like Zephys. It doesn't necessarily have to be a huge problem, but if you would rather go for high damage or even good, great tankiness like Zephys, then Zuka's not the hero for you. But if you're comfortable finding a happy medium between tankiness, burst, and mobility, then Zuka is somebody that I would definitely recommend trying. Alright guys, that is it for this one. I hope you guys enjoy the content. Please make sure you guys leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and of course check out other Hero Quick Look videos, our top 5s, and our Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday night live streams. Thanks for watching guys, and as always, until next time.